Hi everyone, my name's Jessica, and during the pandemic I found it really hard to switch off. By switch off I mean switch off from work, switch off from the news, switch off from the death rate, switch off from everything. So I've been really struggling with that. I've gone on a bit of a journey to find out what switching off means for me, and what I want to do in this YouTube video is share that with you. I'm sharing it with you because it might be helpful, and it also is helpful for me because it helps cement what I have learnt. In saying these words, it's a reminder for myself, and hopefully helpful to someone else too, about how we can get better at switching off. So, in this really short YouTube video, we're going to be talking about breaking the line of sight, taking breaks throughout the day, working out what is important and what is urgent, and the really clear distinctions between those two things, learning to get outside, whatever outside means in a lockdown world, how to turn notifications off. Firstly, who am I? Hi, my name is Jessica, I'm from the UK, my pronouns are she, her. I've done a bunch of studying work, including study at Harvard Business School, and in terms of work I've worked with Google, The Guardian, GE. I'm currently working in the public sector. So first of all, what do we mean by breaking the line of sight? So when you finish work, what do? I used to open up a new Chrome browser, type in Netflix or something similar and just start relaxing, or trying to. That didn't work really well for me. So at the end of a workday, I physically close my laptop now and I tidy everything away. So I have a bag that I would use when I was commuting to the office normally, and I try and put everything in that bag. It's really, really helpful because it gives a physical reminder to me that work is finished and I can go and relax now. I've also learnt that moving location has been really helpful for me. So I'm lucky enough and privileged enough during lockdowns and things like that to have a living room or a separate space that I can go to. So I work in this location that you're seeing now, and once I finish work I put everything away and I go into another physical space. It doesn't need to be for long. I don't need to definitely hang out in a communal area for all of the time. Perhaps you've got a situation where housemates are not as great as I'm thankfully having now. So I'm not suggesting you have to stay in another location for all the time, but just physically break up your day. If you don't have another room to go to, perhaps you're in a living scenario or situation where that's not okay, simply go and make a cup of tea, go and make a coffee, and perhaps also go outside, which is what we'll get onto in a second. Take breaks during the day. It sounds super simple, but in reality I found it really difficult to do. I found that taking breaks during the day helped me switch off after the day had finished, and it also made the days more bearable mentally too. So what did I do in order to take breaks throughout the day? So the big one for me was lunch, or like having the kind of my day is halfway done type block. I don't necessarily eat lunch in that setting. Perhaps I'm doing a fasting, or perhaps there's something else going on. Perhaps I spend most of the time outside walking or something similar. So you don't necessarily need to eat food. That's not what I'm suggesting, but just go outside, right? Just take a break. So how do you do that? Or how have I done that? I start by putting a calendar block in for lunch. Again, this sounds super simple when I'm saying it out loud, but in reality I found that perhaps there were meetings which sounded really important, or people really needed me to attend, which went over that time block. So instead of just calling it lunch or break or something, I've called it something really interesting, so that when people are trying to schedule meetings, they makes them think twice about just putting it over that. So mine currently says eating food like a good human. And it brightens up my day when I see it as a calendar notification, but I found it really helpful for people whom I work with not booking stuff over that time. I found it really useful to not accept every single meeting invite I have. This has been amazing. I now review my day at the start of every day, so I might not say yes to a meeting until say 9 a.m. in the morning. Which some people might find not okay. There are some, of course, which I do. Perhaps I'm running a session, in which case I would say yes to the meeting. But it's very situational dependent. But I found that really useful for me. In terms of your meetings in general, try and audit them. I found that I was spending a lot of my time in not necessarily the wrong places, but not the best places for me in order to be able to switch off at the end of the day. So I had to figure out what was important and what was urgent, and I learned a lot in this, so I want to share it with you. So there's a matrix called the Eisenhower matrix, which is a 4x4 matrix, which outlines the differences between tasks which are important and those which are urgent, and I'll drop a link in the description below for where you can find that. So tasks which are important and urgent get my attention first. However, and this one is pretty critical, I found myself defaulting to everything I do being important and urgent. In reality, that's just not true. So after you've gone through your calendars and gone through the work that you're doing, to put it within this matrix, this 4x4 matrix, go back later, go and have a bit of a break, and then apply a non-emotional, very objective filter to your first pass that you've just finished. Unless you are a trauma surgeon or on the battlefield, something really, really high risk, it's unlikely that a big portion of your day is important and urgent. And that's okay. The next one is get outside. This sounds, again, super simple, but in reality, I found this really, really useful. So, what is this outside you speak of? During COVID and all of the lockdowns which are happening, I found getting out into nature to be a great healer for me personally. And I think that it might help for you too. I find that predominantly fresh air, so when you're sitting inside and you hear the wind blowing and howling outside, those are the moments where I really, really want to be outside, because I find that the fresh air helps blow out all of the cobwebs from the week. Finding the air rushing through my hair really helps me just feel alive, number one, and then also number two, kind of resettle based on what's happened that week. I try to go for a walk before work. I've definitely gotten better at this. I don't do it every day, unfortunately. When the alarm goes off, there are some days I really don't want to get out of bed, but I do. So if I have enough time, I go for a walk before work. I find those days to be the most productive days I have. If it's safe, so there might be a whole number of reasons why it wouldn't be safe, but if it is, I like to go for a walk after work too. Perhaps I take someone else with me, socially distance of course, especially at the moment because of COVID. But I find it a good kind of start and end to the day. I also like walking after work, even if it's just for a really short time, to add a really hard stop to your day. I find it really useful at the moment, specifically for the if it's safe comment. The days get dark at like 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon here in the UK. I can say, oh, I need to finish my day now because I need to go and have a walk before it's pitch black outside at 6 p.m. or whatever it is. I find that really useful. The next one is turning notifications off. This sounds strange because you would think that, or at least I thought that, having notifications on was a really beneficial thing for my productivity. Turns out that's not true, at least it's not true in my case. So I've said turn all notifications off, it'll increase your focus. I can't promise that. It's definitely worked for me and I think it might work for others too. That's why I'm sharing it. So what does that mean? I've turned all notifications off on my smartphone. This one here, it's great. I love my smartphone, I love technology, I think it's amazing. I work in technology, it's beautiful. However, I find notifications to be the spawn of the devil. I despise them. I have no more Slack, Instagram, email or WhatsApp notifications to distract me throughout the working day. You can, if you have an Android phone, and I'm sure you could do similar on iOS too, set up things such as notifications only come through in the evening or they only come through in the first part of the morning. I've personally not done that because I feel that I don't need to have notifications on. It forces me to make active choices to look at the apps rather than the apps coming to me. It sounds really strange, but rather than my phone notifications pinging and my screen turning on and my attention losing focus and going to my phone, I now make an active choice to go and look at those apps. And I find that I don't get lost in a rabbit hole then at the same time. Do I really need to know that somebody on Instagram or similar has liked a post from 14 weeks ago and whatever. Like, no, I don't really need to know that, or at least I don't need to know that in the middle of a working day. So I found this really useful for me. Hopefully you find it useful too. This is the last point. This is a huge work in progress for me. I'm sharing this because it helps me cement what I have learnt about being able to switch off. But I really want to hear from you too. What do you do which helps you switch off? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks. Have a lovely day.